Hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay. Well, let's learn English together. And all right, people, we're back and we're ready. Yes, we're ready to get started on today's lesson. But, well, there are still a couple of things which we need to sort out. Just a couple of bits of vocabulary that we need to cover before we can get back into the Benchfield supermarket mystery extravaganza sort of thingy. All right, well, the first thing that I wanted to look at was the phrase we heard a couple of lessons ago, the phrase cloak and dagger. Now, we first heard this, we first met this, we first encountered this, we first came face to face with this, we first came across this phrase a few lessons ago. Just after Tim had gone off his head, just after that scene when most of the family were waiting at the checkout. Do you all remember? That was when Alfredo wanted to ask Tim something, and that's when we all discovered, that's when we all found out for the first time that Tim was missing. He wasn't with the rest of the family. Tim was in the tinned food section, in the aisle with all the tins and cans of food, and he was flopping and thrashing about on the floor like some sort of deranged lunatic breakdancer.
Vegetables. Vegetables.
Yes, like that. Well, sort of like that. Only Tim was dancing about like a lunatic in amongst a load of tinned food. Anyway, that was when we originally heard the phrase. It was all connected to the fact that Lizzie thought that there was something suspicious about Tim's behavior. Alfredo told her to stop banging on about things being cloak and dagger. He told her that she was just imagining things. Lizzie was still suspicious, but let's have a closer look at the words in that phrase and see if we can work out what the phrase cloak and dagger actually means. Okay, first things first. What's a cloak when it's at home? Well, a cloak is a piece of clothing. Not a piece of clothing we normally wear these days, but, well, some people. People like Batman, Superman, Pencil Man, and French Horn Guy, well, they still wear cloaks. So, can you see what they're all wearing? Yes, they're all wearing masks and they've got gloves, and Batman's got a utility belt and he's wearing his underpants outside his tights, which is something that he always does, just like Superman. They're a bit strange that way. Not only do they live double lives, Batman is Bruce Wayne when he's not Batman, and Superman is Elton John when he's not being Superman. They're a bit mixed up, those two. Anyway, that's not important now. The things that they're wearing, that's what we're paying attention to now. So, what item of clothing are they all wearing? Yes, that one. They're all wearing cloaks, aren't they? Yes, that thing that's tied around their necks, that's a cloak. A cloak is an item of clothing like a sort of coat without sleeves. Sleeves are the parts of a piece of clothing which covers your arm. A t-shirt has got sleeves. A shirt has got sleeves. A shirt could have short or long sleeves. A jacket has got sleeves. A coat has got sleeves. But a body warmer hasn't got sleeves. A body warmer, like a cloak, hasn't got any sleeves. It's sleeveless. Now, we'll come back to that in a moment, but think about cloaks. People don't normally wear cloaks these days. Well, unless they're superheroes or characters in Star Wars or that other film by George Lucas, Moon Battles. Okay, so Before we go on with the cloak, let's just take a moment to cast our eyes back to what we just heard about body warmers and cloaks. The adjective I used to describe the body warmer was sleeveless. Now, look at the way that that word is constructed. Look at the last 4 letters of the word. What is that? Yes, well done. That's a suffix, isn't it? Yes, we're using a suffix, something we add to the end of a word to alter the meaning. So, just as we use prefixes to change the meaning of some words, anti, non, in, re, malarial, anti-malarial, exclusive, non-exclusive, effective, ineffective, start, restart. We also use suffixes, as you all know, to change the meaning of other words. We all remember some of the other words where we can use the suffix ness, meaning without, don't we? What can we remember? Well, for one thing, think about the Bluetooth connection you might have on your phone or on your computer. Think about the Wi-Fi networks that you can connect to access the internet. Think about your mobile phone. All of these things are wireless. Exactly. They don't have a cable to connect them. They work with wireless networks. Networks without wires, without cables. What about people who don't have a house or a flat to live in? What adjective describes the people you see who live in the street? Yes, those people are homeless. They are without a home. And what about some other adjectives that use the suffix less? Well, what about painless, or pointless, or hopeless? Well, all of these adjectives use the suffix less to show that something is not there. Painless means that there is no pain. If someone dies in their sleep, for example, we normally say that their death was painless. If we're talking about something being pointless, then we're talking about the fact that there's no good reason for doing something. It's a waste of time. If you leave a voicemail message for someone, but you know that they never check their voicemail, then what you did was pointless. If we're talking about a hopeless situation, then we're pointing out that there is no hope. There is no chance of something succeeding. So, if you're rowing a small rubber dinghy, a small rubber boat, across the Southern Ocean at night, in the winter, and you lose your oars, then yes, the situation is hopeless. You're not going to make it home, are you? And what about a situation when someone steals your trousers? In that case, what are you? Yes, that's right, you're trouserless. If someone has a really stupid idea, then you might call that person brainless. Your opinion is that this person hasn't got a brain. Their idea is so incredibly stupid that the only possibility is that they don't have a brain inside their head. They're brainless, like Spud Gun.
So, Spud Gun, read any good books lately? Well, I'll make it easier. Have you thought about anything ever? Oh, never mind. Hedgehog?
I was thinking the
Oh,
other
no,
day...
he's got one. Hold on, strap yourself in. Might be a bumpy ride. Go on.
Well, I was thinking the other day in Mace about baked beans.
Ah.
Was it like, says on the label, baked beans. But I thought, wouldn't it be funny, like, if there was just one baked bean? Because then it'd be a misprint. It's the end. I wasn't thinking...
Terrific! It's great when us great minds get together, isn't it?
All right, now what were we talking about? Ah, yes, of course, cloaks. That outer garment, that outer layer of clothing, which is sleeveless, just like a body warmer, or a vest. Although, you don't normally wear vests outside, do you? Vests are designed to be worn under your shirt. Still, some British men do like to sunbathe in their vests.
Look, there's not a cloud in the sky. I'll give you 25 quid if you can make it rain.
You're off.
Right. Okay, but let's face it, that's not really normal, is it? Okay, so vests are not normally considered outer garments. Although, we sometimes do see policemen wearing bulletproof vests or stab-proof vests over their uniforms, but that's slightly different, isn't it? I mean, those items of clothing are called vests because, like a vest, like this one for example, stab-proof vests and bulletproof vests don't have sleeves. So, back to cloaks. And we now know that a cloak is an outer garment, a piece of clothing that we wear over our other clothes when we're outside. Now we know what a cloak is, but we also know that not many people wear cloaks nowadays. It's not a very common garment. So, when we look at the phrase cloak and dagger, the phrase we're looking at the start of the lesson, we can see that it's related to something old. It comes from a time when men wore cloaks and carried daggers. And now, yes, there's another question there, isn't there? What's a dagger when it's at home? Well, a dagger is a type of knife. Now, most knives we have can do different things. They're all designed to cut, obviously. Knives are bladed weapons. They have a blade made of steel or something. And this blade is sharpened so that we can cut things with the knife. Bread, meat, cheese, rope, clothes, wood. Whatever we want to cut, we normally use a knife. Now, knives in general are designed to cut many things, but we can also use knives as weapons. Soldiers used to have a knife which could attach to the end of a rifle, a bayonet, which they could use as a weapon. Now, a dagger is a knife which is only designed to be used as a weapon. A dagger is designed, like a bayonet, as a weapon. And how does that connect to the cloak? Well, the idea is that spies long ago wore cloaks and carried daggers. This way they could use the cloak to cover their faces and hide their identity. And they could use the dagger to attack other spies or their enemies or people that were rude to them. So when we talk about something being cloak and dagger, what we're saying is that this is connected to the idea of spies, of espionage, of dramatic meetings at midnight, of code words and phrases, of mysteries, of suspicious people, fishy men, and things like that. So, when Alfredo was telling Lizzie off for always thinking that things were cloak and dagger, he was suggesting that her imagination was running wild. He was telling her that she was so obsessed with spies and mysteries that she thought everything in life was made up of mysteries, spies, espionage, codes and ciphers. Alfredo was telling Lizzie to keep her feet on the ground and her head out of the clouds. He was telling her that there was a perfectly down-to-earth explanation for Tim's behaviour. It was nothing fishy, nothing suspicious, nothing mysterious. It was just Tim being lazy. Well, maybe. But I think that the way the story's unfolding shows us that Alfredo might be wrong. The fact that Dave has come to the supermarket shows us that there is more to this story than meets the eye. There is something fishy going on, isn't there? And that means that it's not just Lizzie's imagination running wild. No. It's becoming more and more obvious that there is something fishy, something cloak and dagger about this mystery. But that's going to have to wait, as we've run out of time. Yes, it's true. Our lesson for the day has come to an end, and it's time for me to leave you. But don't cry, don't weep. I'll be back on your screens tomorrow with more vocabulary, because there is still more vocabulary that we have to study. And more from the Benchfields, because we're all dying to find out what's at the bottom of the mystery, aren't we? I know I am. The last time we saw them, the story ended on a cliffhanger, and I want to know what's happening now. So, if you're like me, and you're dying to find out what's going to happen next, then tune in tomorrow, and we'll see if we can get closer to the bottom of the mystery. Right, folk, I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a fantastic afternoon and a great evening. Get some sleep, and if you've got some spare time, remember to check out the website. You know, the one with all the K's. www.mediaclick.hu. See you later. Bye.